let's move on to our number 8 overall pick. It was Phil Pennington on the board. He takes Cam Akers. And like I said, or Garrett said, with a lot of risk involved here in Justin Herbert, this is one of the most high-risk, high-reward players in here. The former high school quarterback, Cam Akers for Florida State, goes from one terrible offensive line to another not-so-good offensive line there for the Chargers, or the Rams, I'm sorry. But the one thing I'll say about Cam Akers, and I feel good about taking Cam Akers here, and I'm really ecstatic about his upside, is the Rams, this was their first pick in the draft, and they have some needs, and they utilized it on the running back position. They took him over J.K. Dobbins. And what that tells me is Sean McVay, who I think we can all agree is a pretty smart head coach in the NFL, saw Cam Akers as a better running back for his scheme and his system than J.K. Dobbins. Matt, you mentioned on the podcast where was Todd Gurley until Sean McVay showed up, right? A lot of us were considering him somewhat of a bust because Jeff Fisher was just running him to the ground. Sean McVay comes in, and he's the number 1 overall dynasty player. Matt, what do you think of Cam Akers out there in L.A.?
I mean, so pre-draft, this was one of these guys where I didn't like him a lot. I didn't like what I saw on tape a lot, but I do give him a slight bump due to the landing spot, due to the creativity of the coach and his ability to manufacture touches for guys and put guys into good situations on the field. This is one of those rare situations where I'm just going to kind of bump a guy up in my rankings due to where he landed and the coach that he landed with. I have enough faith in Sean McVay that I feel good about that. I would not take him here. This is still too high for me. If you're looking for a running back and at this point in the draft, all 4 of those other guys are gone, it's going to be a risky pick, but I still think he's the pick.
And it's safe to say, too, right here around 8, you're most likely a team that made the playoffs, first eliminated. Maybe it's because you needed a running back, and that's why. And these are the teams where you start making some of those riskier picks because you're going for it, right? You're not in rebuild mode. This is your actual pick. You're a playoff team, and you need that production where, hey, I like Jalen Reagor more, or I like CeeDee Lamb more, but, I need a running back, and I'm going for it here. Nick, what do you think of Cam Akers, sir? I know you're a little bit bullish on him pre-draft because you just don't like the progression that he's made over these last couple of years at Florida State as a true runner. But now that being said, what do you think of him going to L.A. with that draft capital and Sean McVay believing in him enough to take him above the running backs that he did?
So I won't talk a ton about tape then. I think it's the worst landing spot that Cam Akers could have went because their offensive line was 31st in PFF ranking last year. Towards the end of 2018, they were bad. So right when Gurley started taking that huge drop-off is right when that offensive line took a big drop-off. And what's happened there? Lots of injuries. When they have invested in players, they haven't really paid off. This offseason, they have literally not acquired one offensive lineman besides the 7th round this year, which is whatever that is. They re-signed their 39-year-old left tackle, who's their best player. The other 4 spots are up for grabs. They essentially are hoping some development happens from guys that haven't done it or they stay healthy, which hasn't happened either, behind a line that hasn't done it for a year and a half. That sounds like a mess. And they went out and they got a running back. They got another receiver. They got a 3rd tight end. To me, they're just being ignorant and neglecting their offensive line because that's what's made them. When you want to look at when they were good, they had a good O-line. Jared Goff could hand it to Gurley or do the play action and hit guys deep on crossers. And they could do all that stuff. When that O-line isn't intact, they had to keep tight ends in. They had to really, really help him and support that passing game. And so the rushing lanes aren't there. And Akers isn't good at his approach to line of scrimmage, reading defenses, adjusting. He's better when there is a designed hole and it's there for him. He's not a nuanced runner yet. And so when you want to combine those things, plus their post-draft conference, he didn't say that he's going to be the 3-down guy. He said he thought he was too good of a value and he's going to help that running back room, and it's really going to be an open competition. Darrell Henderson, I don't think he lived up to expectations last year, but he's really talented. We can't say he's not a talented guy. He's a good pass catcher, right? And so, well, he's a good pass catcher. He's athletic, right? And so he's a better pass catcher than Cam Akers is. He's faster than Cam Akers. And so right there, you're like, well, if he's not going to catch the ball 60, 70 times, right, we just talked about how important that is. If the offensive line's not good, I don't see a huge potential here at all. And even Malcolm Brown is there. We're not even talking about him, and he's not a bad back.
No, he's not. I'm not really big on Darrell Henderson. I wasn't big on him last year. I was telling all our audience not to draft him. Everybody was taking him in the first round. I was like, don't be a silly Billy and go out there and get some Darrell Henderson. And I think with the offensive line, maybe another reason they got Cam Akers was because he's probably one of the best pass protection running backs out there too. I mean, he's absolutely fantastic in pass protection. Garrett, last guy on Cam Akers. Want to give us a little hot take on there?
No, I'm not quite as negative as Nick on it.
Nobody is, Garrett. Nobody is.
But I'm in the same line of thinking. I'm not huge on the landing spot for him either. I actually have a running back over him, which I know a lot of people have Cam Akers as their fifth. I have a guy that I have over him, and I don't think we're going to get to it this episode, but next episode we shall.
My boy, Garrett.
What's that? That's
My
right.
Boy.
Would we have the same guy?
Of course we do.
In sync there? Bye. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Yeah, I do like the potential that Cam Akers has just as an athlete. But that's really what we have to view him as right now, is we have to view him as an athlete. And so Sean McVay has a lot of work to do to get him into a good running back. I'm really, really concerned about that offensive line. I would have much rather than seen them go offensive line with both their picks in the second round and then take a running back in the third. I would have felt significantly better about whoever that running back was. I just think it's a really poor offensive line, and we already know that he's going to have flashbacks from his days at FSU, and that's going to be real frustrating real quick.